Oh, greetings, everybody. Yeah, welcome to the Media Files. Today, we got ourselves yet another pile of awesomeness. However, there's just something about it when you can't beat free. Oh, yeah. So, I meant to do this a while ago, and the thrift store that I like to visit every now and then. Eventually, one day or a few days out of the year, all of their media is free. That includes books, Blu-rays, DVDs, anything that's in the case, media related, all free. So I walked out of there with an awesome pile of goodies in there. We got a very small, brief hint of horror, some classics, some westerns, some comedies, and of course some action. Well, let's not waste any time here. Let's get through the little itty bitty tiny pick that is horror. So first off, technically, I guess you could call it a comedy, but, it's kind of somewhat of a horror film a little bit. But it actually is a sequel, and the funny thing is, I've never actually seen either one of these. But here we have, I think this may have been one of this actor's first roles. So here we have Return of the Killer Tomatoes, featuring George Clooney. Yeah. And I have the first one, and I'm not actually seeing the second one yet. So, actually, well, like I said, I haven't really seen both of them, but, yeah. So we'll see. Alrighty, so let's go on to some classics. Yeah, got some pretty decent, small little selection here of classical movies. Now, this one definitely is no classic. It's no classic, good lord. This one definitely is a huge classic, and now granted, probably for today's audience, it's probably really not that great of a movie, but overall though, but at the time when this was made, this was huge, because I think this was really the only second film at the time that was actually made in Technicolor, minus of course the first part of the movie. But now there is a bigger edition out there, but this one will suffice me for now. Because I think I've got the Blu-ray of this, but it has nothing on it. It's just bare bones, which is bad. But, well, considering the fact that it just kind of dawned on me that the Broadway musical, the film adaptation of this comes out in the fall, the first half of it. But here we have the 70th anniversary, the 2-disc special edition of The Wizard of Oz. Yeah, now, I really enjoyed this movie. I'm sure there's parts in it that kind of make me go, but still, I think of all the performances in this movie, Cowardly Lion's my favorite. Yeah. So then up next, we have a new film to add to the Centennial Collection. Yeah, we're getting closer and closer to getting all of these. I think this makes number 7 out of 10. Yeah, because some of the others are kind of hard to find. I was kind of surprised that they had this there. Now, I did pick this up on Blu-ray, but I want to get the Centennial Collection to make that all consistent. But here we have on DVD, we've got Sabrina, starring Humphrey Bogart and, of course, Audrey Hepburn. And this is spine number 3 there. And I think I could need 9, 10, and I want to say 7, I think. So, I don't know. I'll have to look at, see which ones I have. And then up next, we have ourselves a double bill. Now, I have no idea what this is. I just kind of grabbed it because I was like, I wonder what this is. And sure enough, it's actually 2 films that were actually nominated for several Oscars. One of them was nominated for Best Picture, nominated for 10 Oscars at the time, and the second film was nominated for 5. So what can we say? It's definitely a couple of movies that are right around, basically around the time of Queen Elizabeth I. So that'll be kind of interesting. And but so here we have the double feature of Anne of the Thousand Days and Mary, Queen of Scots. So sounds very interesting because the first film was about King Henry VIII, and of course the second film was about Queen Elizabeth, starring, of course, a very young Vanessa Redgrave, who, if you don't know who she is, if you have seen the original Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise, she plays the dealer of Max. And so, yeah. But Richard Burton's no stickler to classics. I mean, he's also in Cleopatra. He was in tons of movies. All right, so let's move on to some Westerns, shall we? Yeah, got some more to add to the Western collection. Now, some of these didn't know if I had, and sure enough, I do not have them at all. And I was like, one of them just sounds kind of interesting, and it kind of dawned on me that the title of this movie is actually referenced in the movie Casper from 1995. It's when one of the ghost characters, Cat Ballou, and I'm like, I had no idea what that was, and then I'm like, that sounds oddly familiar, and well, what can we say? I did manage to find Cat Ballou. Of course, this stars Jane Fonda and Lee Marvin, great actors from the 60s, and I mean, what can we say? It's definitely a Western, but what can we say? It's kind of a parody, kind of like a comedy or whatever. But I'm like, yeah, why not? It's got some bonus features on there and some commentaries and whatnot. So why not? So there we go. Alrighty, so up next, now this one, I've been trying to find this for a while because I love the score to this movie. And what can we say? This is a couple of actors I didn't think I would ever see in a movie together. Of course, starring the late, great Marlon Brando, and of course, Jack Nicholson. We have the Missouri Breaks, and of course, this is one of the more interesting westerns that I've heard of. I've not seen it, but the score, however, is composed by John Williams. Yes, the John Williams of Star Wars, E.T., all those great classic film scores that you know of. This was before Star Wars. This was, let's see, when was this? I want to say this was probably, so just before Star Wars, 1976. So, there we go. Looks awesome. Alrighty, then up next we have, this director, he needs no introduction to Westerns. I mean, he's made some of the greatest Westerns out there, including, of course, The Wild Bunch. Then he would go on to make more psychological thrillers like, Straw Dogs. We have director Sam Peckinpah, and we have his film Ride the High Country, starring Randolph Scott. If you don't know what that joke is from, that's from Blazing Saddles. If you have not seen Blazing Saddles, check that out. Because Randolph Scott was another actor that was real famous for making tons of westerns in the John Wayne era. Well, speaking of John Wayne, we have something to add to the John Wayne collection. One that I do not have. I thought I did have it. Apparently I don't. But yeah, the funny thing is I saw this at Goodwill. I was like, well, I don't know if I have this or not. And so I looked at it, and I'm like, it was kind of messy. The disc was, at least. But we have, of course, another, great John Wayne and, of course, John Ford team up. Once again, we've got three Godfathers. Yeah. And introducing Harry Carey Jr., who would go on to do loads of westerns. And, of course, one of my favorite westerns that he stars in much later on in his career is Tombstone. And speaking of westerns, we got the final one here. So this one, it just sounded interesting, and something tells me that it was, oh, I can't remember. I want to say it's kind of similar to, typical John Wayne type movies. But what it dawned on me was that this film is directed by John Sturges, who, of course, is he, as well as John Ford and a couple of others, including William Wyler, not William Wyler, Billy Wilder, William Wyler, and there's one more. But anyways, they were part of the five that came back, as in 5 directors who shot loads of footage for all of those people who went to the theaters to find out what was going on during the height of World War II. But this film was directed by John Sturges, who, of course, made one of my favorite films of all time, The Great Escape. This is not The Great Escape. This is The Law and Jake Wade. So, it sounded interesting. I'm like, it sounds like a similar idea to one of John Wayne's westerns, kind of like Rio Bravo-ish type. So, we'll see. Alrighty, enough of the westerns, right? Let's move on to some comedies. Yes, we have some great classic comedies here. 2 of them I've never seen. One I have seen left and right, but I'm surprised I've never owned it on DVD. I don't know how have I not? Anyways, so this movie here, I had no idea that there even was a collector's edition of this movie. And of course, it stars, the Scream Queen herself, Jamie Lee Curtis. We have the 2-disc collector's edition. Good luck trying to find it, if you can find it, of A Fish Called Wanda. Yeah. Loaded with, documentaries, featurettes, and a trivia track and audio commentary by John Cleese. Sweet. Kevin Kline. Sweet. I mean, this movie looks hilarious. Have to check it out and see. Alrighty, well, we got something to add to the Kevin Smith collection. Yeah, I've got basically just about everything Kevin Smith has released on some sort of physical media, except for, obviously, the one movie that he made for online only. And I think there's a couple of his stand-ups that I don't have yet. But this one, I was kind of surprised that I found it. And the funny thing is, I've never watched the show that this is actually based off of. And the funny thing is, this is still the shrink wrap. Never been opened. But what can we say, though? It's Kevin Smith. It's going to be vulgar and bad, which is hilarious because, otherwise, we wouldn't have Jay and Silent Bob, would we? Well, speaking of Jay and Silent Bob, we've got Jay and Silent Bob do Degrassi. The Next Generation. Yeah, so it features the 3 episodes where Jay and Silent Bob are in Canada. And what can we say? It looks awesome. Never seen it, so we'll see how this director's cut version is. And it's absolutely jam-packed with extras, which is what's great about all Kevin Smith DVDs. Speaking of Kevin Smith DVDs, if you can hunt down Dogma, the special edition, go for it, because it's getting harder to find. Thankfully, I still have mine. Alrighty, and, well, with this movie is just an instant hilarious classic. If you have never seen this movie, get on it, because it's, not only is it one of the funniest movies ever made, but it's also one of the funniest movies about college ever made, especially in a time when there was no internet. We didn't have streaming services. It was the 80s, very early 80s. What did you do? You went to parties, you got drunk, you did whatever, and you also had yourself a toga party. Yep, we have the 2-disc 30th anniversary edition of Animal House. Yeah. Now, this thing is awesome. So here we actually have an Animal House reunion, which is an original documentary. And what's also cool about this is that this particular edition actually has a on-screen game with it. If you've ever played those Seed It games, this is actually the Animal House edition of that, which is actually kind of cool. And what can we say? I mean, this movie is just... It's just classic, you know, Harold Ramis, John Landis, you know, of course, you know, you got John Belushi in there, and, you know, Tim Matheson, you know, Donald Sutherland, of course, is Jennings, and of course, you know, what they do with the horse and everything else. You know, but what can we say, though? This movie is just downright hilarious. If you have never seen this, watch it. You will laugh your ass off. It's that funny. Okay, so let's move on from comedies and let's get into the action, which is what is left in this pile. All right, so first up, I'm surprised this hasn't even been opened yet, and I've never actually seen this at all. Funny thing is, I actually do have this movie, but it's actually on a DivX video disc. Yeah, a piece of technology that no longer even exists. Yeah, it's around here somewhere. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it was DivX at the time was like the highest definition codec that you could get out there. And but what can I say though? I mean, this has a featurette with it. I really want to try to. I hope one day I come across that Twilight Time edition of this, because I know that Twilight Time edition is jam packed with extras. But what can we say though? It's classic 80s, and you know, what can we say? So here we have a movie starring James Caan. We've got the original Rollerball. Yeah, now it's not even that. That's just the plastic there. I mean, the thing itself hasn't even been opened yet. So there we go. The original Rollerball. And, well, so many years later, guess what? They remade it. Yeah. Now, I've seen this version of it, and this is bad. I mean, it's bad. And the sad thing is, this is directed by John McTiernan. I mean, the guy who gave us Punisher, you know, not Punisher, good Lord, good God, not Punisher, gave us Die Hard, Predator, you know, The Hunt for Red October, you know, loads of great movies in the 80s, and he kind of does this, and it's like, yeah. Overall, it's okay. Alrighty, then up next, we have a movie starring, well, a pair that I never thought would actually be in a movie together. I don't know if it's a comedy. It looks like an action type of movie. So I'm like, well, I figured it's an action movie, so why not? Starring, of course, RoboCop himself, and also, what's his name? RoboCop, and the name is I'm brain dead at the moment here. Ted from Airplane, actor Robert Hayes. Yeah, so we have Peter Weller and Robert Hayes in 50-50. I've never heard of this, and I'm like, dude, a movie with RoboCop looks like a, you know, mercenary type of guy. I'm like, cool, why not check it out? And while speaking of military type movies, this one definitely is, you know, classic cheese, because, you know, well, what can we say though? It is cheese because, what can we say? It's produced by one of the producers of Canon Films, Yoram Globus. However, though, directed by one of my favorite directors, Joseph Zito. Of course, he famously directed Friday the 13th Part 4, and also Missing in Action with Chuck Norris. Well, we have a movie starring his brother, Mike Norris. We have Delta Force One, The Lost Patrol. So there we go. Well, speaking of Mike Norris's brother, what can we say? Joseph Zito, well, we got ourselves a triple feature pack here. We got the entire Missing in Action trilogy. Yeah, featuring, of course, you know, you got the first movie, which is awesome. The second movie, which is a prequel. And then a movie where basically, well, Chuck Norris really isn't in it all that much. But, you know, what can we say? You know, they're just great cheese, fun 80s movies. You know, I mean, you gotta love that shot of you know, Chuck Norris coming out of the water there with that machine gun. I mean, that's just awesome. And let's see, are we stacked? Are we double stacked here? Yeah, I hate flipper discs. I really do. Let's see here. To the beginning. And yeah, I hate flipper discs. Oh well. Anyways, but yeah, there we go. All 3 action-packed movies. And finally, well, I don't know about you, but how has this guy not gotten a much bigger, you know, star? You know, I mean, he's a really good actor. The sad thing is he keeps getting cast in B movies. And not to say that's a bad thing, but you know, he's been in a couple of A-lister movies. Like, for example, he was in The Expendables 2. I mean, he co-starred in it. But I mean, how has he not gotten, you know, a big-time leading role yet? I mean, he's been in loads of great movies. He even auditioned to play Batman, and he makes a really, really good Batman, in my opinion. Of course, I'm talking about Scott Adkins. Yeah. So here we have a couple of films out of his filmography. First off, we have him, of course, the late great Ray Stevenson, Michael Jai White. We've got Accident Man. Yeah, this looks pretty cool. I know there is a sequel to this, which I have not watched yet, but this looks awesome. And finally, I see this one at Dollar Tree all the time, and I'm like, well, it's one of those movies. It's got to be decent. But here we have Abduction. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Oh yeah, I forgot he was also in Doctor Strange. He played one of the villains in that movie. But yeah, but I mean, if you also, you know, he's a great martial artist as well. Check out the Ninja movies that he is in, being that called Ninja and Ninja 2: Shadow of a Tear. And then I know his Bruce Wayne audition is online somewhere. Really, really good audition. And it just dawned on me that this movie is actually executively produced by the late, great Roger Corman. So there you go. I mean, Roger Corman kind of knows how to do some good stuff, even if it's cheap. Well, that does it for me to you for now, guys. If you want any reviews on any of that individually, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification button. And with that, I'll see you next time.